Hello, BookTube. I have some books to show you, believe it or not. Old books. I'm surprised too. I had to go out of the house today. I had a brief errand. It didn't involve people. It didn't involve social distance, or involve social distancing completely. It was not going on any kind of public transportation. I was not congregating at all. But I had a brief errand to run without Frida. I spent most of the day with Frida. But I went out and about. I did that errand. It was not successful. It involved how many functions your local ATM has. Those automated teller machines. Some of them have a full range of functions, including for depositing an actual paper paycheck, and some of them don't. And I went to the nearest one hoping that it was a full-service one, and it wasn't. I couldn't remember off the top of my head. Isn't that terrible? I've used it 100 times. I couldn't remember if it was full-service or not. So I had to walk over and see, and it wasn't. So it was kind of a wasted trip. And on the way back, I passed a deserted wine shop. And I knew from experience that the proprietor of this wine shop, I think, wishes that he had a used bookstore instead of a wine shop. So he had a couple of big boxes of used books that he rotates all the time. That people, his customers, just bring in boxes of used books and just give him so that he has a bunch of them. I've looked them over idly from time to time, but never really given them any kind of eye. And this time, his shop was empty. He had rubber gloves and a face mask on, and so did I. He was behind a desk, and there was no one else in there, and no one else was going in there. And so I thought, not only would it be nice to show him a little company, a little foot traffic, but also it'd be nice to maybe buy a book, because I can't do that here. The Brattle bookshop is closed until further notice, and I'm not getting books in the mail. So I went in just to see. I thought, they're $1 or $2 a piece, these books. So even if it's all junk, I'll buy one or two just to, as a gesture of kindness to him. And then I'll be on my way. I won't stay. I won't linger. And I found 3 books. And I wanted to show them to you because I'll be reading them real soon. First was one I've read already. I've read it and reviewed it already. This is by Carly Erickson, who is a Tudor historian. A historian of the Tudor era, but she's also a Tudor era novelist. And I found one of her historical novels, The Last Wife of Henry VIII, which I have had. I don't have this at the moment. Well, I have it now, but I didn't have it at the moment, and I haven't read it. I reread this a couple of years ago, I think, but I'd be happy to do it again. The back description, I often say that although the author of the book doesn't necessarily write the cover copy, they often will approve it. But in this case, I can't believe that Carly Erickson had anything to do with the back cover copy here. This says, Catherine Parr, the last wife of Henry VIII, the least known of Henry VIII's 6 wives, was the cleverest of them all. Alluring, witty, and resourceful, she attracted the king's lust, and though much in love with the handsome Thomas Seymour, was thrown into the intrigue-filled snake pit of the royal court. While victims of the king's wrath suffered torture and execution, Catherine withstood the onslaught, even when Henry sought to replace her with wife number 7. She survived her royal husband and found happiness with Seymour, but it was shadowed by rivalry with the young Princess Elizabeth, whose affection Seymour coveted. Catherine won the contest, but at great cost. There's virtually nothing in that description that is true. Virtually nothing in it is true. On almost every line is factually incorrect. We're told that she was the least known of Henry VIII's 6 wives and the cleverest of them all. Okay, she was the cleverest of them all, but she's not least known. An enormous amount is known about her. And Carly Erickson, as a historian, certainly knows that. So it has to be that the writer on the back of the jacket copy just didn't know that. Maybe the writer didn't know anything about Catherine Parr. She was very well known and fascinating figure, the first woman in English history to publish a book under her own name. And many other distinctions in addition. But then the next one, alluring, witty, resourceful, she attracted the king's lust, though much in love with handsome Thomas Seymour, was thrown into the intrigue-filled snake pit of the royal court. First of all, Catherine Parr was not alluring, but leaving that aside, that could be said to be a matter of taste. She most explicitly did not attract the king's lust. He was very explicit about that he wanted a mother for his children. He wanted someone to talk to, a steady, sympathetic figure in his world, a woman in his world. He was a man who liked to, I know it's going to be a funny thing to say about Henry VIII, but he was a man who liked to have women around him. so that idea that he lusted after her, no, those days were long over. He did not. And there's a lot to be said that maybe the attraction to Thomas Seymour was one way, coming from Seymour to her. But then, while victims of the King's wrath suffered torture and execution, Catherine withstood the onslaught even when Henry sought to replace her with wife number 7. She was only ever in danger of losing her place once, trumped up on her standing with Henry was rendered fragile and troublesome because of trumped up trouble made by other courtiers, not by wife number 7. Henry was not interested in wife number 7. No. And she survived her royal husband and found happiness with Seymour, but it was shadowed by rivalry with young Princess Elizabeth. No, 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 not at all. I know what the writer of this back cover copy is maybe alluding to, and it's nothing like that. It's totally more complicated than that. And the won the contest, but at great cost. Well, those of you who know the history of Catherine Parr will know what that great cost was. It's a heartbreaking thing. And I've read many novels about Catherine Parr. There have been some really good ones, and I look forward to reading this again now that I have it here and have cleaned it and disinfected it and whatnot. And then the next one is another book that I haven't read in forever. I don't think I read this since it originally appeared. Yeah, 1965. This is Sourcebooks Casablanca did about 20 years ago. They did a reissue of all of Georgette Heyer. All of her novels, and this is Frederica, a big, fat, nice, sumptuous Regency romance about. Well, let me tell you. Let's see here. When Frederica brings her younger siblings to London, determined to secure a brilliant marriage for her beautiful sister, she seeks out their distant cousin, the Marquis of Alverstoke. Lovely, competent, and refreshingly straightforward, Frederica makes such a strong impression that, to his own amazement, the Marquis agrees to help launch them all into society. But he's never met anyone like her. That's why he agrees, because she isn't simpering, because she isn't hypocritical, because she doesn't flatter him, because she speaks her mind and is funny and outgoing and effervescent and practical and pragmatic. She's everything that he has never found in any of the misses who have been thrown at him by the mothers of high society who want to make a match with him. She's nothing like any of them, and that's why he's taken with her. That's why he agrees to help her siblings. And it's a wonderful chase that the author leads us on with these two butting heads and learning about each other. And of course, you know how it ends. I don't need to tell you any more than that for you to know how it ends. And these are the books that Sourcebook Casablanca did. All these lovely things. I wish I had them all. They did a whole bunch of Georgette Heyer, and I found this. I was glad to have it. I don't have much. I don't have anywhere near as much Georgette Heyer as I would like. I'm looking at my Regency shelves now to see if I have any. I have a bunch of Georgette Heyer mass market paperbacks in this bookcase, but they're probably buried. It's double stacked. And then I also got a hardcover today, a hardcover that I'm really glad I found it, because I want to pay more attention to this. I've wanted to go back to it. I kept just saying, well, every time it came up in reading, I would think, well, yeah, I need to revisit that. I've only read it once, and I wasn't taken with it the first time. The Brattle will provide. But the Brattle temporarily is not providing. So when I found this, I grabbed it. This is Antonia Fraser. This is her book on Marie Antoinette, The Journey. Lovely thing from Doubleday, and a great big. This is somebody's old copy that they took to the New York Times book review, which will be my bookmark, and put it in there. I read this when it first came out, and I liked it. When did this come out? Let's see here, 2001. I liked it when it came out, but I didn't love it the way I did this author's biography of Mary Queen of Scots. And it's always been my contention that I loved her biography of Mary Queen of Scots. I absolutely love it. And it's always been my contention that if an author can do that once, they can do it again, and should be given the chance to do it again. That's a big gift that an author gives a reader. If an author makes a reader just rapturously love a book like that, that's a big gift. It's something you owe the author. From then on, you're in their debt. So for me, that takes the form of wanting to find out if they can do it again. And I didn't pay this book the attention that it deserves. And here I found somebody's loved hardcover. So I got these back here and cleaned them all. This one will go in the biography section for sure, whether I keep the paperbacks or not. So there you go. That was that was an actual book haul. Oh my, those are going to be very, very rare, I would think, for at least the summer. But it happened, and I wasn't going to pass it up. So I thought I'd share it with you. But I seem to be belching up a storm here, so I'm gonna sign off for now. But I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.